I counted every night. 30 nights. 30 times I lay beside the woman I had just married, only to be met with silence, a turned back, and cold eyes that no longer belonged to me. From a woman who once loved me fiercely, she turned into a stranger the moment the ink dried on our marriage certificate. When I asked what was wrong, she simply said, "My body. You don't get to touch me." But I had a feeling that what killed our marriage wasn't personal autonomy. It was someone waiting quietly just outside the door. And I was right. Thank you for always being with us. Every view and every share from you means the world. If our stories have touched you, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Who knows, the next story might just have a piece of you in it. I used to think that love, real love, was the kind that built itself slowly, brick by brick, moment by moment. And I thought Elena and I had built something strong. 2 years of dating, 2 years of holding hands through hard times, and laughing in the kitchen over burned pancakes and spilled wine. I thought I knew her. On our wedding day, she looked like a vision from a dream I never wanted to wake up from. Her smile, God, that smile, made everything else fade. The guests, the noise, even the nerves, all I could see was her. We said our vows. She promised forever. I did too, and I believed her. The reception flew by in a blur of toasts and well wishes. My brother Mark, my best man, gave a speech slurred just enough to be funny but not offensive. "Dan finally found someone who can stand him," he said with a grin. The room laughed. I laughed. Even Elena leaned into me and whispered, "They don't know the half of it." I took it as a good sign. That night we stepped into our home now. My place, which I'd spent years saving for, decorating, preparing, suddenly felt different with her in it. Warmer, fuller. We were both tired, but I was happy. High on love, adrenaline, whatever it is that keeps you floating after your wedding. I reached for her. She pulled away. "Not tonight, Daniel," she said. Her voice wasn't tired. It was sharp, like she had drawn a boundary in the air. I blinked. "Sure," I said. "It's been a long day." And it had. Weddings are exhausting. I figured we'd have plenty of nights ahead. But one night turned into 2, then 5, then 10. Every time I reached for her, I was met with crossed arms, a cold shoulder, or worse, that look. The one that says, "Don't even try," like I was doing something wrong for wanting the closeness we used to have. "My body, my choice," she'd say. And how do you argue with that? You don't. You just lie awake and wonder what the hell happened. I told myself she just needed time. Marriage is a big change, right? Maybe she was adjusting. Maybe she was nervous. Maybe it was something I couldn't see but could support her through. So I tried. I made breakfast in bed. I left notes on the mirror. I booked a weekend getaway, just the two of us. But she canceled, said she had too much work. At night, she curled up on the far side of the bed with her phone glowing in the dark. Always texting, always tapping. I'd ask who it was. "Work," she'd say, short, cold. She never let me see the screen. And something in me, something deep, started to crack. Not from anger, not yet, but from confusion. From this gnawing feeling that I was the only one still trying, that I had married someone I couldn't reach anymore. I asked her straight up one night, "Are you okay? Are we okay?" "I'm fine," she snapped. Then turned her back to me like the conversation never happened. And maybe it didn't. Maybe I just imagined the whole thing because every time I tried to talk, she shut me out. Like I was a stranger, like we hadn't just stood in front of everyone we loved and promised forever. The silence grew thicker with each night. Then came the errands. Long hours out, coming home with nothing but excuses. Her smile, once so open, so mine, was now reserved for her phone screen. I started keeping track. Not because I didn't trust her, but because I couldn't ignore what I was seeing anymore. I didn't want to become paranoid, but you don't lie awake next to someone for 30 nights and not start to question the truth. That first month of marriage, when it should have been full of laughter and intimacy and connection, was a hollow echo of everything I thought we'd built. And I still didn't know why, but I was going to find out, no matter what it cost me. The thing about slow heartbreak is, you don't even realize it's happening until the weight becomes unbearable. I stopped reaching for her at night, not out of pride, but self-preservation. You can only take so many rejections before your heart starts building armor. I began to keep to my side of the bed, back turned, breathing slow, pretending to sleep. She didn't notice, or maybe she did, and just didn't care. The phone never left her hand anymore. Always lit, always buzzing. I once caught her smiling at it, genuinely smiling. And it broke something inside me because I hadn't seen that smile directed at me in weeks. That smile used to belong to me. I started noticing little things I had ignored in the beginning, how she hesitated when I talked about our future, how her eyes flicked away when I brought up my business, how she'd ask questions about money, my savings, the contracts, what assets I had in my name. She said she was just curious. But I wasn't stupid. And then there was Mark, my younger brother, my best man. He started dropping by more than usual, always with that easygoing smirk, always asking, "How's the newlywed life, big bro?" At first, it felt normal. He'd always been nosy, always had jokes. But now the questions felt pointed, especially when Elena was around. His eyes would follow her across the room, just long enough to notice, just enough to make me wonder. She'd give him tight-lipped smiles, never warm but never distant either. Something between them buzzed under the surface. I told myself I was imagining things. I didn't want to be that guy, the jealous, possessive husband. But one night, I came home early from a late inspection at the site and found them on the couch. Nothing obvious, no touching, no whispers. But the way they jumped apart when I walked in, that told me everything. She said they were just watching a show. Mark stood up too fast. His smile was too forced. I didn't say anything. I just nodded, grabbed a beer, and sat at the kitchen island pretending to scroll through emails. My stomach twisted, but I kept my face blank. That night, I heard her whispering on the phone in the bathroom. Her voice low, rushed, urgent. I crept to the door. Just one sentence. "Just wait. He's clueless." I froze. It felt like every part of me went still, like time had stopped, just to let those words sink in deeper. I didn't confront her, not yet. I backed away, sat on the edge of our bed and stared at the floor until she came out. Her face was blank, her phone gripped tight. "Who are you talking to?" I asked. "Work," she snapped, brushing past me. It was 12:17 a.m., and I knew. She wasn't just distant. She wasn't just cold. She was hiding something, and whatever it was, I had to see it for myself. After that night, something inside me flipped. I stopped guessing, stopped hoping. I became quiet, observant. When you live with someone you love, your instinct is to trust them. But when that trust fractures, every little movement becomes evidence. Every word feels like a clue. I didn't want to believe it, but I couldn't ignore it anymore either. The next few days, I watched her without looking like I was watching. She thought I was distracted, on my laptop, on the phone, working late. But every second I was home, I was studying her patterns, her tone, the way she reached for her phone like it was a lifeline, like I wasn't even in the room. Then one morning, she left her phone on the kitchen counter. Just for a minute, she was in the shower. I knew I shouldn't look. That line between privacy and truth is razor thin. But the screen lit up. A message. From M. All good. My pulse kicked up. M could have meant anything. Maria, Madison, Mike. But my gut had a name for it already. Mark. I didn't touch it. I didn't scroll. I just stared at it until she came out of the bathroom and snatched it up like it was gold. Her eyes narrowed. "What were you doing?" she asked. "Nothing," I said, shrugging. "It buzzed." She didn't believe me, but she didn't push it either. I spent that whole day pacing in my office. I knew it was wrong, but I logged into our shared phone account online. I needed answers, and there they were. Dozens of calls, same number, Mark's number, sometimes hours long, mostly late at night. The same nights she said she had headaches. The same nights she disappeared into the bathroom to text work. My hand shook as I printed the list. Still, I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed more. That Friday, she said she was going out with a friend for drinks. She barely looked at me when she said it, like I was just background noise in her little play. I let her go. Waited 10 minutes. Then I grabbed my keys and followed. Her car led me across town, not to a bar, not to a restaurant, but to a secluded park. Dark, quiet, no one around. I killed my headlights and parked a block away. And then I saw him, Mark, climbing out of his truck like it was just another casual night, hands in his pockets, waiting. She walked up to him, and without hesitation, they kissed. Not just a peck, not a mistake. A deep, full, desperate kiss, like they'd done it 100 times before, and something in me just shattered. But not the way you'd expect. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even move. I sat there, frozen, staring at the two people who had gutted me without ever raising a knife. My wife, my brother. Two people I had let into my life, my heart, my home. I drove home in silence. No music, no radio, just the sound of my own breathing, steady and cold. That night, I didn't sleep. I planned. I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to make a scene. I was going to build my case. They thought I was clueless. They had no idea who they were messing with. The next morning, I didn't speak to her. I brewed coffee, sat at the table, let her walk past me like everything was fine. She thought I hadn't seen, that her little secret rendezvous in the shadows was still safe. But I had seen enough. And now, I needed proof. I already had the call logs. Now I wanted the money trail. I pulled our joint bank statements, dug through the numbers. That's when I saw it. Withdrawals. Small at first, unnoticeable even. Then growing. Gas stations she never mentioned. Stores she never brought bags home from. The totals added up quickly, and they were all linked to her card. She was siphoning money, quietly, systematically. I felt sick. Then I remembered our cloud sync. When we got married, we linked our phones for calendar purposes. She'd forgotten, or maybe never knew, that some of her texts backed up there. I went digging and found them. One message from Mark, dated before the wedding. "He's loaded. Stick it out." One from Elena. "I'll get what I can." My jaw clenched so hard I thought I'd crack a tooth. This wasn't just betrayal. This was premeditated, a scam, a long con with a marriage license as cover. I called my lawyer, Greg. "Elena signed the prenup, right?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. "Joked about not needing it." Well, she's about to need it. I told him everything. Affair, bank records, the texts. He listened quietly, then said what I hoped he'd say. "We've got a case." I spent the weekend gathering it all. Screenshots, bank logs, photos. I even hired a guy to tail them. Got pictures of them together again in that same park. Different day, same betrayal. Everything fell into place like a puzzle I wished I'd never opened. Meanwhile, Elena started noticing something was off. I wasn't talking much, wasn't engaging. She'd ask me what was wrong, and I'd shrug. "Just tired." She started getting jumpy, nervous. She packed a bag, said she needed space, a girls' weekend. I let her go, didn't stop her, because I had already filed. The papers were served 2 days later. I wasn't home when it happened. Greg made sure of that, but I heard she cried, screamed, called me every name in the book. Then the next day, she countersued, claimed I trapped her in the marriage, claimed she deserved half my company. Bold move for a liar. And then, like clockwork, Mark walked into my office Monday morning like nothing had happened. Tossed a clipboard on my desk with a grin. "Got those site updates for you." I looked at him. My little brother, the kid I had bailed out of trouble since we were in high school. I didn't see family anymore. I saw a stranger. "You're fired." His grin faded. "What? You heard me? Come on, man, what is this?" I stood, leaned in. "I saw you, with her, in the park." He froze, face pale. "It's not what you think." I cut him off. "Save it. You're done. Get out." He left, cursing under his breath, slamming the door like he still had a right to be angry. But the real fallout came at Mom's. She invited me over for dinner, said it was family time. I walked in and saw them, Elena and Mark, sitting at the table like they belonged there. Mom looked nervous, hands clasped. "They told me everything," she said softly. "It was a mistake, just fun. You can forgive them." I stared at her, then at them. Elena wouldn't meet my eyes. Mark had that smug smirk again. "A mistake?" I said. I turned to Mom. "He's your brother," she whispered. I shook my head. Number not anymore. And just like that, I walked out. No more second chances, no more excuses, no more family that didn't act like family. I walked out of my mother's house that night without looking back. Her voice, Elena's fake tears, Mark's hollow apologies. They all blurred behind me like static I could finally turn off. For the first time in weeks, the silence felt like peace. Not loss, not rage, just stillness. I threw myself into work. The company had always been my anchor, and now it was my lifeline. Sarah, my office manager, noticed something was off, but she didn't ask. She just showed up earlier, stayed later, and kept everything running like clockwork. One morning, she brought me coffee and lingered by my desk. "You okay?" she asked. No pity, no drama, just real. I nodded. "Getting there." She smiled, small but warm. "Good. You deserve that." And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. Elena didn't go quietly. Of course not. The court ruled in my favor. Annulment granted, prenup enforced, no alimony, no payout. But days after the verdict, she took it online. Posts, stories, crocodile tears. She called me controlling, cold, a monster who took everything. And then came Mark, commenting under her lies like he was some kind of hero. "He's always been a selfish prick," he wrote. That lit the fuse. I didn't rant. I didn't argue. I posted the screenshots. Just one post. Elena calling me a cash cow, Mark saying, "Stick it out." The truth, raw and simple. The internet turned fast. Her followers backtracked. His buddies disappeared. My friends, clients, contacts, they saw the real picture. I didn't stop there. I forwarded the proof to our industry partners. Quietly, professionally, just the facts. By the end of the week, Mark couldn't find work in the county. Nobody trusted him. Nobody wanted him on their sites. As for Elena, she kept posting. Less often, fewer likes, less sympathy. Eventually, she went quiet. But I stayed ready. Because when people like them lose power, they get desperate. And desperate people do stupid things. Sure enough, one night, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. But I knew it was her. "You'll regret this." 3 words. No context, no emotion. But I didn't flinch. I forwarded it to Greg, my lawyer. "She's planning something," I said. "Let her," he replied. "Desperate people get sloppy." He was right. A week later, she filed a motion, claimed I coerced her into the prenup, submitted fake photos that made it look like I was yelling, grabbing her arm. They were laughably edited, but to someone who didn't know better, it could be convincing. Greg tore it apart. Metadata from the photos, original unedited timestamps, her texts, her plan. It took the judge 10 minutes. Motion denied. Case closed. I walked out of that courtroom lighter than I'd felt in months. No anger, no spite, just freedom. That night I sat on my porch, beer in hand, watching the stars, then headlights, Mark's truck. He stepped out, hands raised like he was surrendering. "Dan, hear me out." "You've got 30 seconds, I said, standing. He stumbled through a speech. Elena dumped him, no job. Mom's heartbroken. "I screwed up," he said. "I'm sorry. You're my brother." I looked him in the eye. "You stopped being my brother the day you chose her over me." He opened his mouth, but I didn't give him the chance. "Get off my property." He left, and I didn't watch him go. The next day, a letter came. My mother's handwriting, 2 pages of guilt, of pleas, of blame. "You're breaking this family, Daniel." Number I didn't break it. They did. I lit the letter with a match, watched it burn in the sink. Family doesn't betray you and expect forgiveness like it's owed. That weekend, I took a drive, out past the edge of town, to a cliff overlooking the city. It used to be where I came to dream. Now, it's where I came to breathe. I stood there, hands in my pockets, the wind cold against my skin. I thought about all I'd lost, my wife, my brother, my mother. But they weren't really mine, were they? They were illusions I held on to too long. And in letting them go, I found something better. Myself, my strength, my peace. I bit down on all the regrets they tried to hand me and spit them out. Because the man standing here, he wasn't broken. He wasn't bitter. He was rebuilt, solid. And for the first time in months, I was ready to move forward on my own terms. Why not hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell right now, so you won't miss any upcoming stories where secrets, betrayal, and redemption unfold layer by layer. What about you? What would you do in that situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story, where the truth always finds its way out.